Hey guys, Dazzler Magic here, and let's just jump right into it. WOTC made the stupidest decision I have ever heard them make outside of the first part of this, which was they're moving to 3-year standard rotation instead of 2. That was the stupidest thing they could have ever possibly done. And yes, I do consider that to be stupider than Magic 30th. So everybody's saying, okay, you want to up the standard pool by 50% of possible cards. The power level is already out of control. The number of control cards is out of control. What are you going to do about it? Because there's cards right now that I want gone, and now you're telling me I got to wait an extra year. So you better start banning stuff more aggressively. So what they just announced was that no matter how bad it gets, they are absolutely not going to ban anything except for one time per year. So they're just going to ban all the tier 1 decks, pretend like they're not rotating, because that's what that would be. That just is rotation. You have to build all your decks again. If a deck's too out of control, there you go. And they said late summer is when you can expect this. So if it is fall and some horrific deck comes out that just ruins the format, has a 70% win rate because they didn't play test the cards together correctly, because now there's even more of them to test together, it doesn't matter. You have to wait about 9 months for them to do something about it. That is what they are absolutely assuring you. Then they decided to walk that decision back literally. Let me count. 8 seconds later. It took them 8 seconds to walk that decision back. So the first yearly only ban event is going to be in the summer, right before what would have been the rotation set when it comes out, but before previews start for it. And that only applies to this year, and then the next year it will be before it actually rotates, with the only exception being they won't have a card game or a business left by then. But on top of it, I am not kidding, 8 seconds later they walked it back and said, after every single release, 3 weeks from the release date, they will have just a little mini ban event potentially, if needed. Because, quote, if we release something that has a significant negative effect on a format. Direct quote from Andrew Brown. Okay, so what you're telling me is, on top of pissing people off who actually know the game and know what you're talking about and know how bad this will be, you know, we've been around the block, we've been in the game long enough to know that this is a terrible idea. We do not need 50% more control cards. We do not need 50% more legendaries and mythics. And we do not need new people introduced to an even higher power format that's even more confusing with more mechanics. And when they go to build a deck, there is now an extra 1,000 or so, give or take, cards to choose from. In addition to that, right after you got done opening something and buying it, if it's a little bit too powerful, they're going to rug pull you on it. To undo their completely careless lack of any kind of giving a crap about any kind of card balance or anything, because they just clean it up 3 weeks later. And they just tell you, well, that was an emergency, but the real ban is in summer. So instead of rotation, they're just going to have a ban. And like I was saying before, they damn well better ban about 15 cards in this next rotation then, or fake rotation, because they're not rotating. So the question is, did they make a statement leading to that, or did they leave it neutral? Or did they make a statement indicating that they're not going to do that? Let's circle back to that. I said it in the last video, but it was a 40-minute video, not everybody watched it. What is the number one thing they need right now? People are leaving the game because of money, because, you know, the politicians they support ruin the economy. The politicians they support had lockdowns for nearly no reason. That didn't work. And then a bunch of those social grandstanding BS came back to bite them, and they lost even more customers. So what do they need to replace leaving customers? I'll give you a hint. It's new customers to replace them. You don't exactly need a business degree to figure that one out. So their strategy over the last 3 years has been, well, let's just get more money from the existing players. There's nothing we can do about people leaving the game, they think. So let's just do this. Let's just print more. Let's just do alternate versions. Let's just push and burn to the ground full art lands. Let's just push and burn to the ground ultra rares. Let's just push and, you know, like masterpieces. Let's push and push and push and burn to the ground special limited edition sets. Let's directly sell people singles. Let's go to Arena and directly sell them wildcards and push that as far as we can get it. Let's rig the matchmaking in Arena and see how far we can push that. And they've been losing money and losing players ever since. Now, some metrics say they've been making money, but if you're making money but losing players, eventually people are just going to give up. They're not going to have people to play with. So that's why they've completely and utterly abandoned paper. All of the design decisions that they've done lately have been because of Arena. They want shorter games, so higher power level, bigger win swings because it's shorter games. Because that's what all the immature, obnoxious 12-year-olds said they wanted. Ignoring the fact that that particular demographic also said that they want it to be easier for the game to be free. So they're just freeloaders and useless expenses who will never step foot in a local gaming store. So that's who they're pandering to, that and whiny pros who do not know what fun, enjoyability, or the Magic community even is anymore. They're there to do one thing, and that's cheat so that they can win, so that they can make enough money that they don't have to work. Which is ironic because a lot of them have rich parents. So now that the pro scene is back, they're getting real loud about what they want. But what everybody else in the community wants is for them to shut the hell up, for one, and two, go play a different format if they're not happy with Standard. Standard is what we teach new people as like a low-powered, understandable, slower-paced, easier triggers, easier mechanics type of thing, where you can teach somebody that instead of trying to teach them Commander, which is every mechanic in every card ever made, and like 50 floating, this and that boost and perk and this counters and this until end of turn and this delayed trigger, all of which you have to hold in your head while just remembering like what tapping means and if you have to tap to block and where to put your lands and what the phases do. Like you basically can't learn Magic right now. There is no format except for something you made up yourself, or if you've taught somebody to play lately, it's a lower powered deck from like 5 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. That's what you've been teaching people to play Magic with if they requested it. But with how much of an embarrassment Standard is right now, I wouldn't be teaching anyone how to play it. I wouldn't want anybody to go near it until they clean this crap up. So they have dead-ass 0 people coming into the game new, and they've got enormous amounts leaving. What the hell is this going to do other than take the top 1% of spenders and players and pros and pro wannabes and say, hey, you don't have to spend quite as much. You can keep some lands for an extra year, and you'll be able to win on turn 3 and 4 more often, so you only have to spend like an hour a day playing Arena to get your dailies and then go play a game that's actually enjoyable. It turns into a chore, but these people are so stupid and brainwashed, and they're so like pro wannabes, and like, oh look, I won a bunch in a row, I'm so great, with a deck I copied from someone else. They've eliminated deck building, they've eliminated just anything low-powered, casual, all that, and they've just catered to the top 1% of try-hard douchebags who are the type of abrasive assholes who drive everybody else out of the game. And so just to stop the bleeding and to cater to those people, they said the next rotation that's coming up in Arena that will make 50 to 75% of remaining active users leave, let's just make up a bunch of lies and find a way to not do that. And we'll just lie about the reasons, but that's really why we're doing it. They made the mistake of coming out to say what their paper to Arena income ratios were a while ago, and paper's dead. I would recommend selling the cards you don't play with as fast as you humanly can. All their money comes from Arena. That's all they care about anymore because they go where the money is, and the only people left collecting paper are collectors, not players. It's just that simple. Why do you think we haven't seen a Masters set in a while? Why do you think Arena keeps getting more expensive? Why do you think they half-assed and kind of almost put in effort to make Explorer, which is just what we have done in Pioneer so far? Legitimately, that is actually what they admitted it is. So back to this, we're not banning anything actually, decision. Once again, fueled by just the fact that they don't want Arena players losing every single deck they have all at once, and then just quitting. Because they know that would be the breaking point for most people. They took surveys. They know this. The 3 weeks after the thing, like 3 weeks after a set comes out, in all formats, by the way, they say this is our emergency nuclear button and compared it to Felidar Guardian, which, or Felidar, whatever that thing was, the Saheeli Cat combo, that's what everybody calls it. If I recall, they made a decision in a ban decision to not ban it, and then 3 days later, or 2 days later, I don't think it was even 72 hours, they came back after the outrage in the community, and they said, we have additional data now, we're going to ban it. So even they weren't willing to pull the trigger on the Felidar Cat combo, and now they're using it as the example of, if this happens, we will hit the nuclear button just in case. Well, you didn't the first time. Your actual example is an example of you not doing that. So they're going to ban crap once a year. The ban is just going to basically gut the entire 8 sets before it. So it's really just going to actually be a rotation. It's just going to cripple every tier 1 deck. And they're just going to say, oh yeah, it's too powerful, power creep. Wow, this is so weird, how anomalous. See you next year. And then, like, a couple weeks later, rotate the format on top of it. That will piss people off. And then the other thing is, the whole thing is, well, you can play a deck for 3 years. No, you cannot. Every single time a set comes out quarterly, 4 times a year, you stand a chance of your highly competitive tier 1 deck, if that's how you like to play, becoming completely irrelevant. You have to rebuild a completely different strategy in completely different colors. Oh, good, you get to keep your $4 2-color lands. Wow. Great. For another year. That's all people cared about, was the lands. Anybody back then, way back when they tried to change the rotation timing to twice a year with a shorter pool, because mathematically that made sense, people came out and said, lands. But also, I want to keep my deck for longer. And people are like, what the hell do you mean you can keep your deck? Every time a new set comes out, your deck gets undermined. You have to rebuild something different in all likelihood. So you have to rebuild your deck every 18 weeks. What the hell are you talking about? This ain't going to change crap. In fact, with a lower power level overall, there's less likely to be an anomalous deck. So you're actually more likely to be able to keep your deck, just not your lands. But nobody else gets to keep your lands, and they can't print dual lands that are worth $20 all the time. So why don't you just shut the hell up? But unfortunately, those people with rational working brains came out a little bit too late, and WotC backpedaled it within a couple days and said, okay, we're not doing it. We're going the full 2-year rotation. Fine, we give up. Because of loud, cheap, glorified stalker fanboys on Twitter whined about it, they walked it back because they're so afraid of those people, because they're the really, really loud minority in the community, while the rest of the people just shook their heads and found a different game to play. Now they're making the same damn mistake. So they even asked, what is the reasoning behind this? And they said, well, too many players are like, oh, you're banning cards just randomly and too often. When the hell have they banned something too often in Standard in the last 2 years? I mean, look at the last 5 years. Oh, yes. Yes. But too often, no. They just should have play tested them better in the first place. That's where they were lacking. The power level, the power creep, and the, ooh, let's do this will be a great, cool villain card, woo. They should have banned double what they banned. So saying they banned too much and too often, no. But the fact that there were too many bans being necessary, yes, they should have been more careful in designing the cards. So both are true while also not being completely contradictory. But what they heard from the community, by the community they mean a bunch of whiny assholes on Twitter, is, I can't keep up. I was going to bring this deck to F&M and then you guys banned it. What am I supposed to do? Okay, let's back up 8 years. I'm going to F&M every week, and I've built 5 decks that are all competitive, all under $100 each, by far. Welcome to the deck building game Magic the Gathering. I would occasionally absolutely stomp people with it. Sometimes the tier 1 net decks were a little too obnoxious. That's what a sideboard was for. That's where building a proper deck to compete with what's at your local store was the skill. And back when Origins came out, you could just build anything halfway competent and win with it. It just came down to better draws and better decisions. And better sideboarding decisions, just saying. Things were great. So if a card got banned, you're like, oh, okay, either that didn't affect any of my decks, or, okay, I've got 3 other decks. I don't care, I got 5 other decks. Okay, I'll just build another deck for $20. Who cares? Like, oh no, my favorite deck got banned. Oh, that's not fair. Whatever. And the whole ban thing, that only affects net deckers, obviously, almost entirely. Yes, there have been times where I'm using a card responsibly, they're using it in an overpowered combo, and I get, the collateral damage over it. Oh well. At least their deck's gone. One of my 50 decks is gone. Their deck is gone. I'll take that as a net positive. In fact, if they stomp off in a huff and stop playing, that's an even bigger win. Don't just ban the deck, ban the damn person. Get rid of them too. I'm happy. Because half the time they're an asshole. By half the time, I mean 100% of the time. Net deckers are not nice people. They're obsessed with winning. They don't care if you're having fun, and they're just there to get packs and have some hollow, fake, inflated, delusional sense of, I'm the best, I'm so competitive, I'm so skilled, look at me, I'm an esports legend, wow. As everybody in the store resents them. And they always spend way more than their budget allows because they're just terrible people. Terrible, shallow, greedy, small, pathetic people. So what are they doing? They're catering to those people. I want to run this for the longest possible time. I want to take one broken ass deck. I want you to not ban it, not do anything about it. And I want to go use it as a free win generator to win a bunch of free crap effortlessly and mindlessly while I get 1 deck box and 1 set of sleeves for 3 years. And if you do anything less than that or surprise me with a ban, I'm leaving. And then they never do. That's who they're listening to. And they're saying, that's what we heard from our community. Hear this from the community. You. So the number of thumbs down on this weekly MTG video are immeasurable. And I do mean that somewhat literally because YouTube started like re-blocking the dislike hider, so now it's even less accurate while they rebuild it. YouTube just made about 10 different changes that are horribly anti-consumer. I'm not even going to get into that, but yeah, people are pissed. They're finally like, wait, I thought people wanted this. I thought we gave people what they wanted. What? Except deep down, unless they're really disconnected and that delusional, they know we can't have people leave Arena when half their cards go away because they bought those cards. Now those cards are useless except in Historical Explorer, because everybody plays that. After you came out and openly admitted that the historic casual unranked matchmaking is rigged. And now they're like, wait a minute. So nobody's like following Aaron Forsythe and reading every word he reads on Twitter, who's an average, normal, well-adjusted member of the community. But they're willing to come out and just press a little down button, a little downvote button, a little dislike? What? And there's this many of them? They must not be our customers. It must be bots. It must be activism. It must be Russians and those darn conservatives and Trump folks. That must be who's downvoting this. Oh, it must be them again. They're behind everything, according to CNN. Like, these people don't think straight. They know damn well what they're doing. Extend Arena by a year, sincerely Hasbro, is what happened here in my opinion. Don't have a bunch of people all leave Arena at once. You guys are losing enough money. Sincerely Hasbro. And so that's what they did, and this is all like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to cover it up, we're going to polish it, we're going to add these layers of BS on top of it. And we're going to try and gaslight people and tell them that this is the real reason we're doing it. No, you just want the game to survive another year while you all look for different jobs. Every single top comment on this video is that William Huey Jensen looked like he wanted to be anywhere else and could barely stay awake, which is very evident because he had the mic just about directly up his nose. So we got to hear him going the whole video. That was fun. And I scrolled down about 30. I could not find one positive comment. So the backlash is real. They just catered to 5% of the community and pissed off the other 95 who are going to promptly lose the game. And some of the first comments in live chat, which it appears they've now turned off for good reason, was, so if there's a problem, you aren't going to fix it for a year. He's like, no. That's what the 3-week thing is for. So if you don't catch it within 3 weeks, we have to wait a year. Okay, why is nobody asking them about the fact that the ban wave just is a rotation? You're going to take everything competitive and everything OP and everything tier 1 and ban it at that point, which is effectively rotation. Oh, you can still have the commons and uncommons from the last 2 years, but we're banning everything else because it's problematic and overpowered. And then you rotate. Come on. So finally, the one thing to know is on May 29th, they're going to release a update. I don't know when it's effective. The effective date is what's really up in the air here, but it will be a very significant ban announcement is what it sounded like. And I will tell you right now, it will not be significant enough. If they're going to prepare the current state of standard to survive, I believe it's 6 more sets to come out before rotation. It might be 5. They are probably going to have to ban, let's see. I mean, Mr. Doubler guy, half the decks I've built, some of the cloning cards, half the control cards, definitely Invoke, probably Liliana, probably Obliterator, probably White Obliterator. This is just off the top of my head. There's got to be 12 cards they got to get rid of right now just to make the game playable, and that's just right now to make the game playable. Right now it's unbearable. Right now the power level's out of control. Right now there's some just unbelievable combos that are just disgusting. All the drawn out crap, even people on Reddit, I was looking through a thread of like proposed ban cards. Yeah, it's that black one that mills like 20 or whatever. People are playing that bullshit now, and I can confirm you guys saw it on stream. An enormous amount of people have moved to that. The entire deck has an infect back end with Proliferate as a backup win con, and then every single card is Scry Draw or Control. Every single one. That cannot be allowed to be a thing when you're just going to give them a new set full of potentially one more little bit better control card, one more better counterspell, one more better whatever, and then do that again and again and again and again, and then do nothing about it. So this is going to be the biggest ban decision they've ever made, which will piss off the enfranchised players, the pro wannabe douchebags and net deckers. And so then they've pissed off both sides of the community right when they need them to stick around, at a time when nobody has money and everybody hates them. And a time where society is just done with liberals' bullshit. We are done. Look what happened to Bud Light. Look what happened to Nike. Look what happened to Target. We are done. We are fed up. You decided to come for the kids? That's the line. F*** you, perverts. And if you think, yeah, but this is different, this isn't a company that did this, first of all, yeah, they did. And secondly, if you think there's not an us versus them, my team versus your team mentality right now in America, then you must not live here, or you live here under a wonderful, comfortable little rock. This is going to explode in their face so hard. They would have brought 1 million players back if they said, yeah, the power level's getting a little high. A lot of people play on arenas, not really what they want, and the game isn't very approachable. The number of triggers is kind of high. When we already have that, it's called Modern, it's called Commander, it's called Vintage and Legacy. You can go play those right now, nothing wrong with that. So we're going to focus more on that. We're going to do more Commander cards, but for Standard, just so it's approachable for new people, we're going to rotate it twice a year and keep 5 to 6, 4, 5, 6, or whatever the rotation would be, sets legal at any given time. And everybody would be like, oh, that sucks, that sucks, that sucks. And then the reasonable people would be like, thumbs up button, and they would know that they made the right decision. They need to start asking exit interviews. They need to ask people who quit the game, why did you quit the game? And then they need to poll current people that are random, not crazy ass obsessed Magic fanboys with nothing else going on in their life. Those people, you should almost ask them what they want and then do the opposite. I guess that is valuable feedback from them then. And then the rest of the comments of this video were like, hey, if you disagree with them about this decision, they'll probably send the Pinkertons after you. Yeah, people still mad. You still mad? They still mad. They still mad. They just keep doing dumb shit. It's just astonishing. This has to be on purpose at this point. They've got to be burning this down to the ground on purpose. Are they trying to bankrupt Hasbro so they can be sold off to be their own thing? Is that what it is? Are they just that stupid? Nobody with a brain wants to work here anymore? They are going through staff you wouldn't believe, and I don't know how the hell Blake's still there. They must pay him a lot. Holy crap. And then I didn't even watch the rest of the video because I have better things to do with my life, but I heard something they had said about, they're going to design sets differently for this. Well, obviously not lower powered. You can't, if you're going to lower the power, it has to be accompanied by a massive band wave and then a massive reduction, or an early rotation. Because otherwise, you'll just sell 5, 6, 7 sets for a year and a half that don't sell very well because they're lower powered and can't compete with what's before them. So that's not what they're doing. But they did something. They said something effective warning people that the new Eldraine set, Thrones of Eldraine, whatever the hell it is, Return to Eldraine, the Eldraining 2.0, I don't know, Eldraine in Space, Cyberpunk Fantasy Edition, I don't know what the hell it is. Can you tell that I know it's called Caverns of Ixalan, which one I'm more excited about going back to? But they wanted to warn everybody that set is not designed with the new design philosophy that they refuse to elaborate on in mind. So, in other words, Eldraine might screw everything up. So, that's the fall set. So we're going to have to wait, 10 months for them to fix anything about it. Unless they catch it in the first 3 weeks. What a bunch of morons. Actually, what a bunch of clueless morons. They all look completely dead inside. You just pause the video or just watch it and look at their faces, and you can tell that they don't want to be there. They know they're lying to people. They know what they're saying is bullshit, and they know that Hasbro's basically got a gun to their head telling them, you better do this, and you better keep people from quitting Arena. You better not take away half their card collection or they are never coming back. Never forget that that's what's really behind this decision. No matter what they say, that's what's behind this. So, watch for May 29th. That'll be fun. I might take that day off. Let's see, what day of the week is that? Monday. I'd love to take a Monday off, actually. I might, do a live reaction where I just sit there and play, CNC Generals or Mordor or something. And then as soon as the announcement comes out, we just tear this shit apart, dude. Get a live reaction. That'd be lit. Except all y'all would be at work, but, I almost said at lunch. Sure. Tune in at lunch to watch me absolutely ripping the faces off them with face-melting profanity. Metaphorically. Anyway, that's what they're doing. I didn't think they could take the worst decision they've ever made to make it worse, but they did. So, what'll be the next one? Leave a guess down below. Thanks for watching. This game and WOTC, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, and slight note here, Alchemy is going to be on a 2-year rotation to confuse people even more, and they're putting the Arena team in charge of rebalancing those cards. What the hell?